two-step equations real quick. 'Cause, it's always important to kind of remind ourselves how to solve these equations, especially as we get into systems of equations. So we're going to start off with one-step equations, and you can see over to the side over here, I have a little chart that says inverse operations. So we have inverse operations are, just the opposite. So the opposite of addition is going to be subtraction. Opposite of multiplication is going to be division, and vice versa. All right. And when we're solving equations like this, we are trying to isolate the variable. So we want to get the variable, in this case x, by itself. All right, so we want to get this by itself, so on one side of the equal sign. In order to do that, we always have to do the opposite, the inverse. So this first one's kind of basic. We have x plus 6 equals 10. The opposite operation of addition is going to be subtraction. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. 6 minus 6 is going to be 0, so it cancels out. 10 minus 6, though, is going to be 4. And we're going to have x equals 4. Final answer. And you can see now the x is completely by itself. Right? There's nothing on the same side as the x. On the other side, over here, we have a very similar question. It is the same question. It's just that it's 6 plus x. We know associative property of addition. We can just move things around when we're doing addition, and it won't change the value. So I just put the 6 first rather than the x first. All right, but it's the same basic properties. We know that this 6 is being added to the x. All right, so the same thing, you're going to do the opposite, which would be subtract 6 from both sides. And we'd be left with x equals 4 again. Down here below, we're doing multiplication. How do I know it's multiplication? Whenever we have a number next to a variable, so like if I had 3x, that's going to be 3 times x, right? Same thing if we had, eventually we might do things like this. This would be a distributive property. You would multiply across, but whenever you have something right next to each other, there's going to be multiplication. So the inverse of multiplication, if we want to get the x by itself, is we're going to have to divide both sides by 2. We're going to divide both sides by that number that is right next to the variable. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now we have x. 10 divided by 2 is going to be 5. This 1, we don't need it. All right, so we can get rid of it. Because 1 times anything doesn't really change the value. Okay. On the other side, though, we have x divided by 2. All right, so whenever we have a variable over a number, all right, it's going to be division. Same as like a fraction, 1, 4 over 2, it's going to be a 2. So whenever we have something that looks like a fraction, that's division, okay? The inverse of division is going to be multiplication. So if we want to get the x by itself, we're going to do the inverse of division, which would be multiplication, and we're going to multiply both sides by 2 because x is being divided by 2. These are going to cancel out. Now we have x, and then 5 times 2 is 10. All right. Down here, we have two-step equations. So there are, you know, before it was just one step. All we had to do was just one operation to get the x by itself. Now we have two-step equations, and we're going to have to do two steps. I have this note here that says PEMDAS, and it has an arrow. So whenever we're solving for equations, multi-step or two-step, we're always going to have to do PEMDAS, but we're going to do it in reverse order. Meaning we're going to undo addition and subtraction first. Followed by multiplication and division. And then we're going to have to undo exponents, which we'll do at some point in the future. And then lastly, you would undo parentheses. So when I'm solving these, I would look first for any addition and subtraction operations that are happening in the equation. So this first one, we have 2x plus 6. So the first thing is this plus 6. All right, we're going to have to get rid of that first. All right, we're going to go do PEMDAS, but we're going to do it in reverse order. So just like before, the opposite of addition is going to be subtraction. So you would have 2 minus 6 from both sides. So minus 6, and then 12 minus 6 is 6. Bring everything that's remaining down, so 2x. Now we're going to go to the next step, which is undoing the multiplication and the division. So this is 2 times x, because we said before, anytime you have a number next to a variable, it's going to be multiplication. And the opposite of multiplication is going to be division, so divide both sides by 2. And then you would have to get the x by itself, because these would cancel out. You'd have x equals 6 divided by 2, which is 3. To the right, we have the same basic equation. It's just the order is different. All right, so before we had 2x plus 6 equals 12. Now we have 6 plus 2x equals 12. That 6 that's out front, it's still being added to the 2x. So we're going to have to get rid of that first. So we're going to subtract both sides by 6. That's going to cancel out. 12 minus 6 is going to be 6. Carry everything else down. Now we are left with 2 times x, and the opposite of multiplication is going to be division, so you're going to divide both sides by 2. Two divided by 2 is going to be 1, and then 6 divided by 2 is going to be, just like we said before, it's going to be 3. So we're left with the same solution, x equals 3.